Today we need to get into RM talking about gunfire and what that was about. We need to get into Chinese netizens targeting RM after they believed he insulted Chinese people during a military speech. And then we have two people being requested to be arrested after something they allegedly did. So Dumplings, this Dave, decide hate it or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your dumpling, taste-filling mug merch, and let's go. Recently, we saw V and RM at the military ceremony as they completed their training. It was very beautiful, and we got to see them line up as soldiers and see them in their beautiful uniforms. This was even more emotional because we got to see V and his parents take photos with V and really see how proud his parents are of V. This is something I'm very curious about because we've seen V literally go up for some of the biggest awards in the world, and also being next to their literal Korean president and the American president. And if I was V's parents, I would find it hard to accept this moment of him graduating as a soldier to be a moment that is big. Do you understand what I mean? Like, is it a big deal, but compared to like the rest of V's career? Because it would be a big moment for me, but not if I was someone that was Grammy nominated. But anyway, some footage came out of the camp and people had some mixed reactions to this. So what was the footage? Some people from the camp decided during V and RM's portion of the ceremony to record V and RM and see their reaction to things. This footage was also then posted online and went viral naturally. Of course, I can see the backlash for this footage being posted online, as the footage isn't officially taken by the military themselves and definitely not taken by Hybe, so then it becomes footage taken without the permission of the boys. My only issue when I see clips like this is why record V and RM? I understand being a fan and then wanting to capture that, but most people are only there to see their family members or maybe friends enlisted. Shouldn't you be recording them? But I do think this was actually okay to post and record because it's a ceremony where everyone's phones are out, and if recording was going to be something that was prohibited, the military would have asked to confiscate phones at the door. They want parents and friends to record each other because this is supposed to be a celebratory event. And so I'm sure V and RM were very much aware that recording was even happening. However, the backlash or controversy doesn't just stop there, because people were upset at allegedly two people who they believed were sasaengs and snuck in simply because they were just watching V and RM. So there were two people who were on the sidelines, and right before they sat down, they noticed V and RM standing, so they decided to not sit down yet and watch V and RM for a little bit. This was something that was seen as controversial because they should have just went to their seat. However, this is literally fine. This is like literally saying that if you saw a celebrity on the street, you can't look at them, because either way, you're at the ceremony. People are going to be looking at V and RM when they get up to do their thing. The two people, regardless of what haters and fans want, are not stalkers, and they did not get arrested. And those who posted the videos are not breaking any rules or bad people either. The ceremony is open to friends and family, and if the original video was just posted on a feed for the person's recording friends and family to see, but then it went viral, that's not the fault of the person who posted it. People were happy to hear that actually one part of the ceremony actually included RM speaking. And he is such a good speaker. There is a reason he is the leader of the group, and there's a reason he often speaks for BTS, because he puts things the most eloquently. Of course, this also opens up the floor for controversy, which I want to talk about later. But in the speech, he gives a very political statement that a lot of armies had comments about. RM talked about how the Korean military is still a very necessary thing, and continued to talk about how the last 70 years has been peaceful for the exact reason. And this is the reason why they must continue to support Korea and continue having men enlist. His speech was basically saying that he was against war, but for the serving of the country. He also added that he hates the idea that men have to learn how to use guns and fire them in order to maintain peace, but that is to some degree the fact of reality. RM has always been a very political person. He even wrote a poem when he was a little boy talking about the conflicts of North and South Korea, much of the same conflicts that likely exist today. And it's very interesting to see not only that perspective not go away, but actually be much stronger, but be able to articulate it much better. Unfortunately, we do live in a world right now when Korea feels the military is a real thing that needs to exist. I do, however, sometimes feel it's a bit sexist, as women are usually not encouraged to go. Of course, not actually discouraged by any specific words, but when they see that only men are forced to go, and those men sometimes don't even really want to go, it de-incentivizes a lot of women to go. And I actually believe as of recently, women can enlist, but they can't be on the battlefront. So we clearly are still living through a world where they believe women wouldn't be right or strong enough to serve in the battlefront. RM's speech was overall so beautiful, and it's really such an amazing thing to see that even though he didn't want to enlist and would rather be working and performing, he is still taking this very seriously and understanding that this duty is very important for the nation. It's very easy to sit there and think of all the negative reasons and be like, why me? But understanding that this is important, it's how things get to be how they are, it's a huge sign of maturity and a sign of realizing things don't just revolve around you, but a collective. BTS members have always been such big political activists, so I do think it's very strange when people claim that BTS and K-pop is not for politics and that they just want to enjoy the bubblegum pop side of K-pop. That side of K-pop wouldn't even exist if it weren't for the nation's sacrifice and many other things. Of course, given the speech that RM gave was so pro-Korea, there's been some severe backlash on this. People in China were very upset to say that if RM is pro-Korea, that he is very against China. And this was an issue that happened twice before when Chinese netizens were upset that RM showed support for the Olympics and supported his Korean player rather than supporting the Chinese. RM also got into a bit of backlash a long time ago when RM, I believe, was accepted for an honor. RM made a speech talking about the hardship and pain that Korea and the US had faced together, specifically when the two countries fought North Korea together. So both of them allied together to fight the North, and there was obviously a lot of pain and suffering. China had backed up the North, so this comment that RM made was believed to be directly attacking the efforts China had made. So this made netizens mad as RM was choosing South Korea when the North had received a lot of pain. Regardless of what RM may think or agree with, because he could not support his own nation, but naturally someone is going to support their own country, especially someone who has received ambassadorship for their own nation. Obviously, they're not going to side with the opposing side. Of course, now fast forward, RM making a speech during his military ceremony made some Chinese netizens feel that he was agreeing with the politics and actions of South Korea, like during that war. This is obviously not true and not at all the intention of RM. Of course, he is going to support his nation and talk on behalf of his own nation. Again, he is not just a soldier that is serving in the military, he is literally the ambassador of Korea. Chinese netizens have always said things like they'll burn BTS's album or ask other Chinese netizens in China to not support BTS anymore. Given how big China is and how big the market in China is, people can literally go from homeless to millionaire within a day if their album is a big hit there. And Chinese netizens love to spend money, so it's very easy for businesses and artists to not only gain a lot of exposure, but suddenly have these huge budgets for the next project. It's very concerning for RM or any BTS member's safety when I see stuff like this online, because the boys are literally sitting ducks while they're at the camp, and literally everyone knows where they'll be. However, we shouldn't worry. The boys are likely armed at all times while they're in the training, and if not, don't say that, because we want the stalkers to think that the boys are armed so they don't attempt to do anything to the boys. Overall, RM did not insult China or Chinese people. He is obviously just going to stand on his own side and support his own people. And quite frankly, I don't think China should be supporting North Korea. Let North Korea do their own thing. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks, just love the comment right here. Love you. Bye.